Hey guys, what's going on? Itskirby here, and I have a little bit of a story for y'all. This is a thing that happened a little over a month and a half ago. So we had a little bit of a scare with the Mustang. Uh, Turns out it was just the original battery that was in it that was giving us trouble, which is, I'll explain all that. So I guess right after we got the car, I've been driving around for about 2 weeks. And I was at the car wash, the wash I just talked about in my last video, and just wouldn't crank. And I said, fourth or fifth time, cranked right up. And I got out, just double checked everything, make sure it wasn't a blown motor, because you always just gotta double check, and usually it's just the battery, which I was correct, or I got right. It was just the battery. But the day after that, I didn't have a battery tester at my house. Folks were gone that I knew had one. They were just gone, so I couldn't go to them. So I just ran down to O'Reilly's, and they said, "Oh, your battery's good, your alternator's good. It might be a wiring problem." I'm like, "Well, shit." Which that caused a whole issue, and I work at a shop. And I went to my shop, and the guy tested it, said, "Oh, it's your alternator and your battery." Then basically a bunch of people tested. I did my own test. I finally got the equipment I know, and I tested it. It was fine. They were just telling me I needed a battery. And well, this is the craziest thing. So the day I decided to go looking for a battery, I was going around every auto parts store, and I never been to our Autozone. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to see what their test says, because it's free. And I thought, why not just, for the hell of it, see what they test, or get on their test. And the guy comes out there. He says, "All right, I'm going to test your alternator and battery." He said, "Turn your car off completely." I'm like, "But you said you want to check my alternator." He's like, "Yeah, just turn it off completely." I'm like, okay, so this is how it's gonna go. And I don't remember the guy's name, but he was kind of one of those that had the shirt buttoned up, showing his hamburger meat, kind of scruffy beard, and horseshoe hair going, because his hair is going back. He looked like, if he buttoned up, he would look like somebody that's been working there for years, and you would think knew what he was doing. And I might be over exaggerating that, because I kind of vaguely remember that face. But I thought that was really weird, and so did my grandpa. My grandpa, the one that y'all seen in the past videos, he was with me that day, and he was going to get a veteran's discount, all that stuff from me. Then next thing I know, he said, "It's your alternator." I'm like, okay. I really just want to get out of there by that point, because I knew he said he was having issues with the little machine to test it, all that, and I just knew something was wrong. Next thing I know, he asked, "Do you race this thing any?" And I'm like, "Well, I want to start racing it." He's like, "What kind of racing do you do?" And I said, "I don't race it right now." And he's like, "You want to race?" I'm like, "Excuse me, what?" And he's like, "You want to race?" And I said, I just told you I don't race this thing. It's a stock V6 Mustang." And he's like, "Well, I bet you $100 my car can beat you." And I'm like, "I don't doubt that." And I'm like, "Well, what do you drive?" He walks around the corner, and just sitting in the very front of the parking lot is a 2013 Hyundai Veloster. Turbo, by the way, turboed. And he said, "I'm making 350 wheel horsepower after tuned, built motor, aftermarket turbo, and wiring harness." He had some wiring issue, and he rebuilt it or something like that. And he said he was going to go get it retuned for 400 horsepower. And I'm like, you know what? I'll race you. I was thinking that in the back of my head. I'm like, really? This guy's going at me with a Hyundai Veloster. I mean, I like those cars. As many of you guys know, Nathan, who's been on the Itskirby channel quite a bit, he drives one. It's a beautiful car. Hey, you got it paid off. We got to get a turbo for that thing. Now that I remember, but it's just one of those weird things that happens. And he's like, you know what? Meet me out one night, or meet me out on this one road where we all cruise at. A bunch of, pretty much everybody in my town and county goes down there and cruises. And he said, I'll meet you and we'll line up and we'll drag race. I'm like, okay. Because I was getting uncomfortable. I was ready to leave. I mean, it's good to see people who are like interested in my car. But when you're sitting there and you have someone waiting for you and you're sitting there trying to drag race basically someone who's teen and you're like in your mid to late 20s, that's crazy. Like, you never expect that from an Autozone. You go in there for a test and a battery, come out with a failed test and a drag race under your belt, or a drag race you have to do. Like, I thought this was a funny story. I thought y'all should know about it. Keep an eye out for the people at Autozone who want to drag race you. And I'm not hating on Autozone at all. I just thought this was so random and so freaking funny. I drove past there not too long ago, or I drove right up the road from it, and I thought I saw that Veloster and I about shit myself. Because I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to race a Veloster today. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's just one of those random things that happens, and you just like, I gotta tell someone what happened. But I hope you guys have a good day, and yeah.